The Game Boy Advance had a really clever way of running emulators, and we can use that method today to run Sega Master System, GameGear games, and also ZX Spectrum games on the Delta emulator, which really only lets you play Nintendo games normally. The tool you need is something called an injector, and what it does is it adds your choice of games and the emulator, so in this case a ZX Spectrum emulator, into one file which is read by the Game Boy Advance. So as we're creating a Game Boy Advance file, which basically pretends to be a Game Boy Advance cartridge, it means we can use it on any Game Boy Advance emulator. So this is Foon, this is the first one that I used. You can see this is back from 2002, was the latest update. This is on Wayback Machine. But I also used SMSAdvance, which gives you a GameGear and Master System emulator, using the same sort of method, so it's adding the emulator, adding the games. You can even do some sort of configuration with different hotkeys and different cheat modes and things like that. And there's also Pocketsnes, which SMSAdvance is based on, and you can see this is enabling you to put SNES games on a Game Boy Advance, again with the emulator. I did look up Genesis or Mega Drive, and unfortunately there never was one for that, or not that I could find anyway. So I've got all three injectors in this folder, so let's just open that up and you can see Pocketsnes, SMSAdvance and Foon. So Foon is the Spectrum one, so let's open that up and double click on the inject and you can see this is what it brings up. Now you need to copy some games in there. For the Spectrum they need to be .z80, as you can see both of these are. So if I drag both of those into here, you can see that they show up. You can double click on a file and as you can see it tells you the name of the game. It tells you it's defaulting to the Kempston joystick. Now that was one of the most popular ones on Spectrum. I had a Kempston joystick back in the 80s. But you can also change some of these other buttons. So Game Boy Advance had a joystick, an A and B button, and these are the shoulder buttons left and right. So if you want to change any of those you can. I don't need to. If I double click on Kane, you can see it comes up with the launch on that. And I'm guessing that's probably okay as it is. I haven't checked. It looks like this menu is controllable by the joystick. So again, I'm going to say that's probably okay. So we need to browse to where we want the image to be. I'm going to put it in this GBA convert folder, but I'll call it Jet Set Kane, just so I know what it is. But obviously if you had a load of Spectrum games, you can call it whatever you like. Hit open, and then we can do create image. And you can see it's already created it. It's obviously tiny little files. So this file, it would easily fit on a floppy disk. Now if I click on this file, I need to rename it to .gba. And yes. Now I'm going to email this to myself so I can pick it up on my iPhone. Okay, so if I go into my emails, you can see it's at the top here, Spectrum 2 games. So let's save that file and I'll save it to downloads. And then if I go into my downloads folder, so browse back to that, downloads, jetsetkane.gba. So if I click on it, it recognises it as a Game Boy Advance file. And as you can see, it's added it to my list of games. And if I click on it, A to continue, and we can select a game. Let's just turn that down a little bit. So the two games are on here. So Jet Set Willy 3 this is, so this would be not an original one, this is like a remake from 1985 it looks like. And B launched it, so now as you can see it's all working fine. And let's try Kane and see if that works. So if I hit menu, go back to main menu, tap on it again and restart. Click on A. And you can see there's more options here as well, so you can actually save snapshots of a game, which is really cool. And I really like the insert key press option as well, so if you click on that, you can then pick any of the buttons from the original keyboard. So let's select Kane and start, and I think I'll use a controller for this. Oh, I'm going to be too slow. Let's just fire that arrow anyway. So you want to aim a little bit before to see if you can catch it. And I missed all of them. And a bit of the horse racing. And we'll do a bit of the shootout as well. So if you're aware of any more game injectors that we can use to get more games on iPad and iPhone, I'd appreciate a comment. Okay, so I hope all this helps. Thanks very much for watching. Please like and subscribe.